Hi, Lauren.
Hiya!
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm well excited to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be here. I feel like I've got podcast royalty in the room right now. I do. I'm a huge fan of You, Me and the Big C, and I think that's something we're definitely going to talk about a little bit later on. But first of all, I want to start by talking about an award you received recently. So it was the Triumph Award by Stylist magazine.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
It's a bit mental, really. So I really last minute applied to be part of the Stylist Live last year, the event they have, as a stall holder. So I was like, I'm just going to bring my T-shirts there and see what happens if I do, rather than selling online, if I actually have a space. And I got in and it was a load of work and I was really stressed, and I did that whole thing beforehand, like, why have I done this to myself? Why have I taken so much on? And it ended up being really, really good. And the response was amazing. Like, I had to have 3 or 4 people in the store with me at all times, because they'd be selling, but then I'd be talking to people all day. And I didn't really think I realised the impact that the podcast was having, that me talking about it on social was having, and people actually feel safe. They can come and talk to me, that I get it. And that's such a lovely thing to have. So I was there for the weekend, and there was an award there called the Inspirational Founder Award, which I was put up for, and I won. So I was really overwhelmed by that. It was a really, really special thing. I was like, oh my God, because Stylist is like my magazine. I don't really read magazines anymore. No. I'm online all the time.
You're social.
Yeah, but Stylist is that magazine. So Stylist kind of knew who I was. And then I got an email, and they, just before Christmas, and they were like, we've put you up for this Triumph Award. Are you around to receive it? Do you want to accept it? I'm like, yeah, I do. But I had no idea how big it was going to be.
It was a really big night, wasn't it?
It was, honestly.
Mate, I saw I'm saying mate because you say mate all the time. I told you I'd pick stuff up.
I love it. I love it.
I'm already doing it. There was some massive people there. I've seen pictures of you with Emma Willis.
She gave me my award.
How was that?
Okay, I still can't believe it all happened. Emma Willis and Vicky McClure are my iconic girls. You can tell with my short hair, I wear suits all the time. They're very much my vibe.
Yeah.
And I just really like who they are as women. I just think they're really nice, approachable, wonderful women. They raise other people. The kind of women you look at and go, she's my kind of girl. And I walked in with my sister, who's pregnant, and we talked about it in the car. I'm like, I wonder who'd be there if I recognise anyone. Thinking industry-wise, did not expect the
amount.
The celebs, So I walked in, and my sister was there, and I just went, that's Edith Bowman. And then, this is this person, this is that person. And then we walked past, and Emma Willis was chatting to Vicky McClure. And I was like, oh my God, there's an icon sandwich happening over there, and I cannot deal with it. And I had my hair. I'd gone to my hairstylist. I went, can you do my hair like Emma Willis?
No way.
So that's why I was all back. And my sister was like, just go and speak to them, Lauren.
Did you do it?
Yeah. But I haven't had a drink yet. She was like, you must go speak to them. I don't care. Go now. Go. I'll get a picture. So I just went over. I was like, oh, this is awkward. We've all got the same haircut. And then
love that. What an icebreaker.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm Lauren from Girl vs Cancer. And Vicky said, oh, I know you from your podcast. And Emma went, I know who you are. I didn't know she was presenting my award at this point. Really lovely women. Got a picture with them. And then, I was sat at this table with Monroe Bergdorf on one side of me. I had Anne-Marie Singer, Bryony Gordon, who's a friend of mine, Gina Martin and Scarlett Curtis, who are doing so much for womankind. And then Keely Hawes is over there, Annie Lennox. And all these women who I look at and go, ooh, are in a room with me, and I've won an award. And they've seen, I don't know, it was all a bit surreal.
What an achievement, though.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud. I feel like that's the award that's made me stop and go, holy shit.
What a name, the Triumph Award, though. It's an amazing award, so congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You actually posted something on Instagram afterwards, and I think it was a picture of the award, and you actually said, you spoke about the after effects of cancer and how it made your brain forgetful, less articulate, and as though your spark was a little bit dimmer. That really got to me reading that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's really weird. So cancer treatment obviously takes a massive toll on your body. And, you are told you will get better, you will start to feel more like yourself, but you're never back to your full self, I don't think, ever. And the thing is, I think some part of your brain thinks, oh, I'll get there. And it's been 2 years. It was 2 years on Sunday that I finished chemotherapy. So it's still quite early days, but it's still 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
And I'd had a day where I'd gone to a yoga class, trying to be good to myself, and push myself further physically, and just because I'm in medical menopause as well, right? So I'll just explain for people who don't understand.
Please do.
So breast cancer, there's loads of variants of. My cancer was hormone positive.
Right.
So as part of the treatment for that and prevention of it coming back, you get really targeted hormonal treatments.
Right.
So I take a drug every day called tamoxifen that blocks the receptors in like my brain, my boobs, my vagina, like stops it getting estrogen basically. Right. So that has its own fun perks.
Yeah.
That's why we laugh and joke about my dry vagina a lot on the podcast, because I'm just like, oh my God, menopause. Because no one talks about it.
No, exactly.
And hot flushes and stuff. And then I have an injection every month that literally shuts my ovaries down. So that's why I had my eggs frozen before I started chemotherapy, because they knew this would be the ongoing treatments, which means by the time I finish them, I'm probably not going to be able to have kids naturally.
So that's an option that they gave you?
Yeah.
Right, because I feel like a lot of people, I didn't know that. I mean, I'd read that you had frozen your eggs, and I found that really interesting. I wasn't sure about what
it can all depend. It can all depend on how advanced your cancer is, if you have time. Right. Because some people get diagnosed and they're straight in. Yeah. They felt like with me, they caught it at a point where it was like, right, we can literally give you just 2 weeks and then we've got to do this. So let's get this show on the road if you want kids. And at the time, I was just saying to my mum, I'm just going to go in here and like get this chemo started. I want this out of my body. Yeah. And she was like, just please think of future, Lauren. If they're telling you you've got a future, you need to believe it. And it's such a scary thing to think, because you think you're going to die. That's automatically your reaction. And so, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I listened to Tina. And I got my eggs frozen. I got 9 on ice.
Wow, 9 on ice. I love that.
So I'm going to fertilise them all. I've decided they're all going to have names beginning with L and wear different colour bandanas. I'm going to start our own squad or cleaning company.
I bloody love it.
Yeah, like we're just going to have our own thing going on.
But how was that at that time? So you were 31 when you got diagnosed. And at that time, making that decision, you just said you just wanted to get straight into chemotherapy. You didn't want to think about having kids. But so how was it? You kind of had to think, right, there were so many things I guess you had to think about at that time. Yeah,
well, I honestly, when she went, do you want kids? I looked at her and I was like, I mean, it's a running joke because I haven't had a text back in about however many months. Like, I've been single for 8 years. I don't know if I want kids.
Yeah, it's the last thing on your mind.
I don't just about want a boyfriend. I don't know. And it was a really, really weird moment. But actually what it did was it made me go, oh my God, I do. Like, if I've got a life to live long term, eventually, do you know what? When I do find someone that I want to be with long term, I do want a family with them. Yeah. And it was a bit of a weird moment, but I'm so grateful that I have the option now. Yeah. You know, and I still like, if I don't use all my eggs, I'd love to donate them. Because there's so many women that don't get the option of freezing their eggs prior to treatment. And some women aren't actually told they're allowed to do, like that. That's an option either. Yeah. That chemo can make you infertile, which is really poor form. There's not that standardised care level with cancer, but I'm very lucky I did it. But yeah, I was just so basically with me writing that post, I'd basically had a day where because I'm in menopause, I feel like I've got a body of like a 70-year-old a lot of the time. I ache a lot, my joints ache, my back hurts. So I do yoga to help, and I was so active before I got ill, like so active. And it weren't, I think probably more then, it was more of a, I like the physique of being quite like, athletic and strong. Yeah. And now it's like I just like feeling strong because it makes me feel like empowered and I've got this. So I tried to do an advanced yoga class, and I went in and I just couldn't bend certain ways, but that was so hard
to accept.
Yeah, and I was like, I miss my old body. And I just had a moment where you rest in child's pose, and I just had a little cry. I had to let it out. I was like, I was so frustrated. And I think people don't realise, they see that I'm off doing all these amazing things, which is great, but that's come from a lot of hard work and like stuff. But actually the day-to-day of living with a cancer diagnosis after treatment as well is full on, and my body is probably forever changed, and it's learning to work with it. So that award isn't like just for all the work I've done. For me, it's actually something I can look at and go, you've overcome so much. Like, you can overcome this bit, you can overcome this bit now, and you can do it. It's just a little reminder to keep moving, I think, for me more than anything. So it's a really special award.
And the after effects aren't really something that we hear people speak about. Why do you think it is so important that people do speak about the after effects? Because like you said then, and that shocked me, that people don't get told that this could be a side effect, you may become infertile. Like,
yeah, they should be telling. It's really hard because obviously I try and explain like the medical profession. Yeah. When you go in, it's like a car. You're a broken car, you need fixing. So their point of view is like, let's get this done. Let's save a life. Let's get you sorted in a way that's gonna like not affect your quality of life as badly, or treatments that are kinder. not all, most oncologists and oncology teams are absolutely phenomenal. Mine were faultless. They told me every option that I had.
Right.
They, even to the point where I was really struggling with menopause last year, and they went, if you need to come off the drugs, we'll take you off the drugs.
Right.
And I decided to stay on them for my mental health, to know that I've done everything I can to prevent my cancer coming back. I don't feel like I'm ready to stop it yet.
Yeah.
But just to know that they are backing me and they want me to have a good quality of life is special.
They're giving you the option.
But I have met a lot of medical professionals that kind of treat it as though the aim of the game is to make you live. So everything else is kind of seen as vanity or surplus.
Right.
And I think every woman should know what her options are. And that's why talking about cancer, we're all going to be touched by it. You may not personally have it, but 1 in 2 of us will get it. So that means someone you love will get it. Fact.
Yeah.
So knowing what they are going through and what's going on means you can empower them. So if you're like, God forbid, your sister, your mum, anyone was diagnosed, you can go, I spoke to Lauren and she said that this can make you infertile. Have you asked that question?
Yeah.
And it's about empowering people with their treatment and care. So yeah, it's really important. I'm really an open book with everything. I'll answer any question anyone's got.
I think that's absolutely incredible.
Cheers,
absolutely
mate.
Incredible. You also wrote an Instagram post. I'm going back to your Instagram a while ago, and you captioned it, and it really, really interested me. You captioned it, "Cancer recollaborated my mindset."
Yes.
Do you remember that post?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I think everyone will relate. We're all comfortably numb in our existence, right?
Yeah.
We've got our routine. We plod on.
Yeah.
We've got things that bug us. We have hang-ups, we do this, we do that, and we just go through it. A lot of us probably feel like we're not sure like what we want to do, but you know, this is life. And I was definitely that person. I was probably a bit lost. I wasn't really passionate about, I loved my job.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was just a bit like, yeah, this is life, cool, whatever, comfortably numb in it. And I think like we all are kind of guilty of not really pushing ourselves to our furthest because we're comfortable. When you get cancer, or anything that changed your life, whether that be having a baby, having an accident, or like if you do have like a long-term illness, you stop seeing life as forever, and you realise that it actually is really short, and actually your life is this moment right now, not something you're planning on doing in 6 weeks' time. Not when I get skinny, I will get this. Not when I get this promotion, I will get this. You realise that you can't always plan for a future, so you have to start doing things now that make a difference in your life and that make you happy. And that's what it did. It made me stop and go, holy shit, this is real. And my life is a thing. Yeah. And it is really real. And you've got 2 options. You can bury your head in the sand and go, I'm scared I'm going to die. Or you can go, I'm going to die one day, something we all are. So let's get busy living and do it in a way that makes me happy. Yeah. And that's what it's done. And in one way, it's really good, because I feel like all this stuff has happened because I've pushed myself and I didn't realise how capable I was. So that's amazing, because I probably never have done this stuff if it wasn't for cancer. Yeah. But at the other hand, I probably pushed myself to do too much and take on too much. So it's finding that balance. But that's what I meant by recollaborate. You just have a different head on. Yeah. And you just, things don't, like certain things matter, certain things don't. You stop beating yourself up. I'm much kinder to myself now than I was before, for sure.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And did the thought of death kind of change the way you thought about it and how you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. I am so much more comfortable talking about my own death now. I was someone who had really bad health anxiety. So when I was 16, my uncle passed away. Well, I'm not going to say passed away, he died, because you die, you don't pass a test, or you don't leave someone in Primark, they actually die. So he died, and he was only 39, and he died of an illness, and it was very quick, and I wasn't expecting it, and it happened. And that was a shock to the system at 16, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Like one of my grandparents had died when I was like 7 or 8, you don't really understand. But I was so close to him, and I actually was at the hospital with him a lot, so it felt very different and real. And then 6 months later, a friend of mine was murdered at college, a friend of mine. So within 6 months, I'd had these 2 instances of death as a young adult, and my first experiences of real death. And for me, they were very quick, they were very premature, and they were really quite tragic. Yeah. And so for me, that was what death was. And all of a sudden, it was in my brain. I was like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. What if I die now? What if I die alone? What if no one's with me? Yeah. Really scary stuff, which is obviously how you're going to react to such traumatic events. But what that did was it gave me really bad health anxiety for most of my young adult life. Yeah. Like, it definitely broke down relationships. My poor first boyfriend, he was such a good guy, but it wore him down because I could never not be with him. I was scared to be on my own in case I died. Yeah. So having that fear my whole life, and then going through counselling for it and stuff, actually been faced with it and actually being in a real life situation and going, okay, I could die here, but chances are I'm not going to. Yeah. But actually, you don't know what's around the corner. It made me stop worrying about it. And just go, I spent all my adult life worrying I was going to get sick and die. I've got sick, I've not died. I'm not wasting any more energy doing that. I can't. Like, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't anxious that my cancer will come back and kill me. Yeah. That's normal. I think anyone who's been through what I've been through would be. But now I'm like, well, I'm going to die. We all are. Like, that's what happens. That's life. So I'm just a bit more like, well, it's going to happen. And if it does, this is what I'd quite like. This is what I wouldn't like. I'm just like a bit more accepting of it. I think
it's something that like the whole world, every single human is scared of it. Yeah. And I had read and I'd heard you speak about your death anxiety or your life anxiety. And I remember, I think you said something about like, you know, I worry about crossing a road. And I was like, and I didn't realise actually what meaning you had behind it. So thank you for sharing that, because I did wonder whether it's something you had your whole life, because like I say, a lot of humans are just scared of death.
Yeah, I think it's just a trigger. Most people have them. Any anxiety most people have, it's because something really traumatic has happened. Do you know what I mean? But for me, it's helping me to come to terms with my mortality. And I just do feel like, you know, rather than burying my head in the sand, now I have the conversations. Like, that's one thing, my big thing. By the end of this year, I'll have written my will and I'll have, like, made a note of everything that I want if I die. So I'm not inviting it in. I'm not jinxing myself. I'm just letting my family know.
But on that note, you've become an incredible spokesperson for on your podcast, through your social media and through your community. And I think it's incredible. You have to have these conversations, but you don't see it anywhere else.
No.
So how has that been for you, actually opening up through the podcast, through your social, to these people? What spurred you to do that?
Yes, I've always been a really open person on social media as well. I've had a blog for years, and I posted regularly on social media. I'm like, what you see is what you get. But when I got diagnosed, it was really weird. I got diagnosed and I kind of came offline a bit, and people started to ask what was wrong. Yeah, because I do like, it's quite cryptic. I'd be like, can everyone just send some good vibes today? When I was going for scans and stuff like that. And I knew I would talk about it because that is me to talk about it, but I wasn't sure how and in what way. All I knew is the day that I got diagnosed, I said to my mum, my friends, because we went to the pub afterwards, because what else are you going to do? Just get me all the Prosecco. And I went, I need to talk about this, because if I wasn't checking my breasts at 31, because I had small breasts, I didn't think you could get them. How then it was that? And like, I wasn't checking my breasts. None of my friends were. So I was like, I need to raise awareness here for breast cancer in young women, because I didn't think that this was a thing. Yeah. I really didn't. And I just wanted to empower like my peers to know their body, not just for breast cancer, because I think we all have a gut, and your gut instinct is always right. Because the gut, you know, is the first human brain. Before this developed, we'd go hunting, we'd go with everything that our gut told us to do, what felt right. It's our intuition. Yeah. You know if something's not right in your body. I knew it wasn't right. But it took me so long to get into the doctors because life gets busy. Yeah. So that was my initial thing. I want to raise awareness. And then I was like, I want to do T-shirts to raise awareness and raise some money for charities. Yeah. And then as I started going through the process of about to start chemotherapy and stuff, I was beginning to realise that I was basically, before I started, I was trying to find women like me. I was like, where are the girls like me, talking my language, who've done this, who've smashed it, who make me feel inspired that I can do this too. Yeah. Could not find them. I found about 2 or 3. And everyone has different experiences. And I thought, I need to talk about my cancer experience, the way I'm experiencing it, because the way it's been portrayed is really clinical, cold, elderly women. Yeah. And that doesn't represent who I am. And also it's a control thing. So I decided, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to use the hashtag #GirlVerseCancer, because being a social media gal, I was like, need a good hashtag. And when that was really free, I was like,
I know.
Oh my God, it was waiting for me.
It's an amazing hashtag.
Yeah, so I did, and it just felt quite natural to me to do it. And it gave me purpose when I was really scared and a bit lost in it. Yeah. And, you know, you get up every day and you feel like absolute shit and your hair's falling out, your bones ache. But then I've got something to keep me going and conversations. And the minute I said something, people were speaking back because they'd been there. Yeah. And all of a sudden there was a tribe. The thing that I did really want to do, and I know me and you had a little chat beforehand, but I just made sure that on social media that I was showing both sides of the coin. So I love imagery and I love curation and I love making my feed look nice. But on my stories, it was very like, this is me in bed looking like an egg. Like, I've not moved in like 3 hours because I'm knackered and I've just watched every single episode of Gossip Girl. Give me your box sets. Do you know what I mean? So I do feel a responsibility to show, because I think, you know, this is my cancer experience. I'm lucky that I managed to keep my breast. Not everyone goes through that. Most women do lose a breast or both of them. And, you know, I'm at one version of events of cancer. This is the way I am. This isn't like forced. For some people, their way is denial. It's getting their head down. No one even knows. They're very private. And that's fine. So I feel a responsibility to show all of the sides of the experience, because I don't want anyone to feel like this is how you do cancer. This is how I've done cancer, and any way that you deal with it is yours. But I just want people to feel that if they ever needed anybody, they were never alone, and that was the whole point of it.
And I think I mentioned before, but on the podcast you speak about the matters and the subjects that no one else, you did say before, that no one else seems to be talking about. And I mean, through listening to your podcast, I'm a huge fan, as I mentioned in the beginning. I've learned so much that I will never know, and one day in life that may benefit me. So do you feel that's the main importance? That's the reason you got into speaking about it on the podcast? How did that situation come about?
So basically, I was talking about it. So I got diagnosed in August 2016. Rachel was November 2016, and Deborah was December 2016. So within all those
I didn't realise they were so close.
So close. So within like 4 months of each other, we had all started talking about our experiences. So Deb was Bow Babe, is Bow Babe, and Rachel's blog is Big C Little Me. And we were all talking about our experiences in different ways. And then towards the end of 2017, obviously we'd found each other, we all followed each other, we would spur each other on, we would ask questions. And I got Rachel to write something for my website, because on my Girl vs Cancer, there is a section called the community, and I get people to submit. As I said, I'm not a poster girl for cancer, so I want to show everyone's different experiences. Stories, and she wrote a thing about the fear of recurrence and what happens when it does come back. And she just floated the idea to me. She went, listen, while I've got you, I've had this idea about doing a podcast about cancer, because no one's talking about cancer, and a podcast would be a great forum. And I was like, that's such a good idea. Like, because I talk about how I talk about it literally on my Instagram stories, but it's the same as getting behind a mic. You're having the same conversation. And we were like, well, I think it's important to lift that veil on what cancer looks like. And originally it was, rather than, I think, educating the masses, it was more to support people that were going through it. I think we kind of wanted to talk about it in the way we were, because the reason why we all started talking about it is because no one else was in the way we were. So it made sense to give it a bit of more of a voice and get us all in one room, because, you know, like, it's more impactful. And with Rachel being a BBC presenter on the radio, we got to do it at the BBC, and it just worked. And it's because we get messages all the time now as well, like Steve, Rachel's husband, who is now on the pod with us, which is amazing. It feels so right to have him there. People literally are like, I feel like I've got friends. Like, you feel like friends, which is the best compliment I think ever. And doctors and nurses are learning from what we're saying, because they're getting to hear the patient experience in a way they never have before. I actually had a moment. We've had 2 things happen in the last couple of weeks which were amazing. So we had someone tweet us their care plan. So when you're coming out of cancer and you get discharged, which is amazing, you get a care plan of what you're going to do to help support you. And in their mental health section, it says, continue listening to Me and the Big C moving forward. It's actually in her medical notes.
Oh my God.
As a thing to help. It's unbelievable. Like, we were like, holy
that fuck. Is amazing.
Because we don't know who it's reaching. We sit in a booth and talk to each other. And I'm in my own body. I don't see how I am to anyone else. So I'm still just a girl who's had cancer talking to her friends about it. I don't realise who's actually tuning in. Even though we know it's got big reach, you can't imagine. And then on the weekend, I was in a place in London. It's a place called Rowan's, which anyone who's listening who knows it is a proper, like, dive bowling alley that has like a big DJ and sells Smirnoff ices and margarita slushies. So I was there for my friend's birthday dressed as a nun, as you do. I was
I think I've seen some of this actually.
I was a character. We were doing musical characters, and we were all the nuns from Sound of Music, this little group. And I came out of the toilet dressed as a nun, and this girl is just gone, oh my God, you're Lauren, oh my God, and burst out crying. And I was like, whoa. So I took her to one side. was like, you okay?
Oh,
she's like, I'm so sorry. She went, I feel like I know you. I've listened to you for like a year. My mum had leukemia. You've helped me. You've helped my mum.
Wow.
Like, I just feel, and it's like, whoa. And it's that connection.
Yeah.
But I feel really grateful that I'm able to do that. And I feel very honoured and privileged that people feel that way about me and Deb and Steve and Rach, and that they feel comfortable enough to share with me, because that is a real privilege and an honour that people feel that they can do that, and that they felt supported meant more to me than anything. But I have had a lot of people cry on me, but that's fine. I let them. It's part of it.
I can imagine. I feel emotional talking about it now with you. Through the podcast, you've kind of taken your listeners on a journey. Now, whether that listener's experienced cancer or not, like you said before, 1 in 2 of us will get cancer or be affected by cancer. So it's a huge statistic.
Yeah.
But you're so raw on the podcast, and you have, like I say, taken us through this journey. We've been through every moment with you. And one of the moments was, of course, Rachel's passing. Yeah. Which was difficult as a listener. Yeah. But I'm so glad you shared that. Yeah. And the way you spoke about it was so raw and so honest and so open. How did it feel going through that on the podcast and explaining how you felt?
To be honest with you, it's a bit of a whirlwind, and it was really, really hard. I always say that week is the week that's changed my life. Wow. So the podcast was one thing, but that week changed my life. So I was away with friends at a wedding when Rachel texted and said, I've got days. And I was like, I leave you alone for 2 days, mate, and you go dying on me. And we had like a bit of death banter. But I think I kind of buried my head in the sand because I was away, and I cried every day, and I really struggled with it. But I kind of just did what everyone does: drank through, got lost in my friends, and just I'll deal with it when I get back. Yeah. I was just hoping that she would hold on until I got home. And then what happened is I flew home on the Monday, and it all went to press in the UK. So I was literally sitting on a beach in Malaga trying to keep up with what was going on, and it was really overwhelming. It was really hard, and I was heartbroken because you can kind of pretend it's not happening, but when it's in your face and it's on every newspaper and it's everywhere, I was just like, I hope Steve's okay. People asked me for comment, and I just couldn't do it. Deb did it all. She was amazing. She went head teacher mode, and I was like, nah, I can't. I'm just going to deal with this. But then what happened was the next day, First Dates aired, and I was on First Dates. So it was this weird situation where I was all over the press because of Rachel's had been announced that she was going to die, and then everyone was talking about the podcast and the work she was doing and how tragic, and it was awful. So there was this. Then there was First Dates, which was obviously really positive and wonderful, and Rachel was so excited about it. And then I woke up the next morning after First Dates and Rachel had died. So it was this weird 3 days of what is going on. Yeah. I went from being Lauren is speaking on a podcast, and I was walking through a shopping centre, and literally everyone was like, you were on First Dates last night, you were on First Dates last night. And it was so overwhelming because I'm like, yeah, I am, but I just didn't.
But that wasn't the emotion you were going through.
Yeah, I just wanted to lock myself away. And it was good, but I also think it was quite cathartic, as much as it was hard for Deb and I, because we got to talk about our friends so much and with such love and passion. Yeah. She's like, with so much, like, she's literally ingrained in the person that I am. She is there. She lives in me now. Like, that is it. She is part of me. And I think those weeks are around Rachel's death and after her death have been so formative. Yeah. And it has changed everything. But in the same respect, it was great. It was great that I had First Dates at that time because people saw me outside of that. So I had things to talk about that wasn't always cancer. But also they found the podcast and they probably would never have found the podcast if Rachel hadn't have died that week, I think, because people would know we'd done it, but who was going to listen to it? But it drew people in, her death. So I'm not going to lie, it still is really hard. Like, when we do talk about her and we talk about her in the past tense, sometimes I sit there and I go, this is bullshit. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like talking about it like she's not here. But it's part of life, and I know what she wanted. She was very upfront about it. She wanted us to continue. She wanted us to keep changing the conversation, and part of that is the conversation around death and dying. So it's important that we keep doing that for her and for Freddie and for anyone else who's been affected by cancer and who has died because of it, because we need to do a service to them. People shouldn't be dying of cancer anymore. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that with me and with us on the podcast. So Girl vs. Cancer is your community that you have created. So tell me a little bit about how that all started.
Well, it just started because I was talking about it on social media, and then I've suddenly realised that, there's a lot of us, and I'm not the only one like me who's experienced cancer, and that, you know, people do need that support. So it started off as a hashtag to share my story. You know, when they click on the hashtag, everyone can see it. But then it actually became a place where people were sharing their stories too. So after a year, I actually had to make it its own website.
Amazing.
And it's doing great things, and it's brought a lot of people together, but it's also enabled a lot of like collaboration. So I do tit teas, which I love the name of, and it's trademarked, so no one can nick it. But yeah, with all different, so it started off with all different names of your boobs on, because I just wanted to raise awareness to be checking your breasts in a fun way. In a way that felt like me, quite cheeky. So yeah, I started selling the t-shirts. I had £500 and I spent that on 500 t-shirts, and they sold out in like 3 weeks. And I was like, well, I'm not spending any money on boobs anymore, so I might as well spend it on some good. And I didn't expect that they would do what they have. So I was like, I'll restock them and I'll do another collection. When I launched the site as an official thing, I was like, I'll put a shop on it and I'll do some really cool t-shirts. And then the illustrated ones came about, and they were massively successful. And I owe a lot of it to my Instagram community, because a lot of the influencers that are in my campaigns, you know, I worked in digital marketing most of my adult life. So a lot of these people are my friends, and I knew I could call on them. And now it's just ridiculous. I think now I'm on collection 5 or 6. We shot 54 people in one day last time. Yeah. And it's really nice because I've got people from the cancer community involved, which really empowers them and makes them feel good. And it's a lovely experience for them coming and getting their makeup done and their hair. It's a really vibey day. People learn a lot as well. So you get the influencers that are there, and then they're speaking to the cancer community and they're learning. And it's that dialogue. But it also means that the reach is really wide. I mean, a brand could not pay to get that many of those people in that room.
I read something about that reach, actually. What was it?
Yeah, it was like over 4 million.
Yeah, million. Incredible.
Yeah.
And how was it shooting those, you know, being part of those shoots with yourself?
Honestly, I just go into the mode. I'm like, right, what we doing, where we going?
Boss mode.
Yeah. And my sister's like, you're a machine watching it, because it's quite overwhelming. I really work hard to make those shoots happen, and I have to rely on a lot of people donating a lot of their time, skill sets. I'm so incredibly lucky and fortunate and grateful for those people. And so I feel like this real pressure, like I want it to be good. I want everyone to get what they need from this, and I want it to be a really successful day. But also I want people, big group shoots can be really quite intimidating. Yeah. Even for me, like getting in front of a camera and posing when you've got loads of people around is quite anxiety inflicting. So I want to make it as nice and fun and comfortable for people. And what's so nice about the shoots is people come earlier than their time and they stay to the end of the day, because everyone's talking and catching up. Yeah, you've got to think, I've got all these influencers in one room, they're all sitting there, and there was a couple of moments where I was like, so Lucy Williams, when she said she'd be a part of my shoot from Fashion Me Now, when she was there getting shot wearing my product for a campaign that would do so much, and would for her audience to see like the charities I'm supporting, and like finding out more about the cancer community in young adults, it was really impactful. And I was so overwhelmed. I was just like, oh my God, Lucy Williams is in my product, because you know, I know that everyone's people, but when someone you follow and love their style and idolise, and Pandora Sykes did the same thing for me as well. Freddie Harrell did it. Like, there's so many. Caroline Hirons though, but it's really funny because Caroline I've known since I was 7. She's my friend's auntie. She's my best mate's auntie. So it's so funny having I remember having to tell Caroline I had cancer, and it was horrible. She was just like, "Are you kidding me?" But she's really there, really supportive, and now it's almost like a challenge. I'm like, right, who else can I get in this campaign? I'm not going to say too much, but the next, I've got design, like the person I want to design my next round of t-shirts is up in the level massively.
Oh my God.
Big things.
And when can we expect it? If you can't tell us, when can we expect it?
I do 2 main collections every year. Yeah. So I'll do Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so it'll be October. Fantastic. And then I do World Cancer Day, which is February every year. And then in between them, like, you know, working with, I've done stuff with like Miss Selfridge and brands, and done, it's really surreal because it's stuff like, that's big blue sky thinking. You think, oh, one day, imagine if I did a t-shirt with a high street retailer. What's so great about it isn't just Girl vs Cancer. I support these charities, so every person that comes to find me finds my charities, And I never wanted to be a charity. I wanted to raise awareness and funds for those that supported me. And I really hope, and I feel like we are. I've got to send them their donation for this quarter, but I think we're on 46,000 now.
Wow.
For charity. Yeah. I know.
That's incredible.
That's how much money is that? It's ridiculous.
So much.
I'm like, right, but in my head I'm like, right, let's get to 50, let's get to 100. Let's get this money.
That is the impact you're having, though. That is incredible.
I'm really
well
proud.
Done you. That is so good. I read that back when you first started Girl vs. Cancer in the T-shirts, you spoke openly about the financial implications of being diagnosed with cancer. And that isn't something that people talk about either.
No one.
So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like we need to shed some light on that too.
Thank you. That's really good. Because, I was 31, living my best single life in London, just moved out of my parents' house. I didn't have life insurance. Did anyone else in this room have life insurance? No. I wouldn't think about that. I would just assume that in a job, they would look after you because you work for them, right? And you put your blood, sweat and tears, and most of us do, into our work. I was very proud of my role and I loved it. And I'd work all the hours and I'd, stress and like be so happy if things went well. And what I didn't realise is the government can support you like they would if you got made redundant or something like that. Like, you get statutory sick pay, you get some income support. But it's exactly the same as if you're just like signing on every week. There's no special like sickness thing really. It's like a disability thing, but cancer isn't seen as a disability. And my place of work is up to their discretion. Right. So, I was been working there about 1.5 years, so my sick pay was 3 weeks. But they kind of extended it to 8, which was really great of them. Yeah. They didn't have to do that, but that's still 8 weeks. That's 2 months out of 8+ months of treatment. And where was I going to get that money? How was I going to pay my rent? How was I going to get cabs to and from the hospital? How was I going to eat? It's a really hard time. And I think the expectation was, it's okay, you can move back with your parents. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. Why am I moving back? I'm 31 years old. I've just got my independence. I didn't decide to get cancer. Cancer chose me. And I'm not gonna have my life whipped from underneath me where I can help it. Yeah. So what originally started with the T-shirts was it was meant to be all the money for charity, and then it ended up being 25%, and then the money that I received could help to support and fund me. But now the rest of the money just keeps churning through the business to buy more stock and stuff. But it was really hard, and I was like, there's nothing. And I almost feel like, there's a legal maternity scheme in place that employers have to pay. I feel like there needs to be that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I do feel like, when you are going for jobs, it's really great to have prestige and stuff, but look at the bloody benefits. Look at what they will do. And that's why I think sometimes paying into like schemes for like health benefits are worth it. Right. Because if I'd have known that, I would have done that. Like, now my backup plan is Girl vs. Cancer. God forbid anything should happen again. I know I've got a little pot of money that could probably see me through for a little bit longer. But I wouldn't, I had no idea. And I don't think many people do. People actually lose their homes. What if I had kids? It's terrible. I
couldn't even think about it.
Like, I got cancer, but every single skill set I have in my locker came into play when I got ill. Yeah. And this is what's happened. So I just trust the process. It was a really hard time and it was terrifying and it was stressful, but you know what? It pushed me to do something about it, and now here we are. Yeah. So things happen for a reason, but it's something I would like to do more on, actually, the financial side of cancer, because it's a really, really scary place to be in.
And it's just not spoken about enough. I had no idea until, researching yourself and getting to know you a bit before you got here today. I couldn't believe some of the things I read about that, and I think that nobody thinks about that. And if one person can know and learn a little bit about it, then hopefully that can help.
Yeah, and just people know where to go as well. Like, I was really lucky. I'm quite internet savvy, and my sister is a fiend. She was like, what can we do to help? So Macmillan were great, the charity. Like, they fill in all the forms for you, and like you're applying for like support from governments, and you get on the phone because your cognitive function goes completely. You get chemo brain, you forget things. It took me like half an hour to remember the word chips once. It's mad. And so they fill out all the forms for you and stuff. Right. So knowing that, it helped me, but some people don't know that, and it's just being able to signpost people is really positive. But save money, people.
So you've been a really big backbone for yourself.
Yeah.
You have really supported yourself through everything that you've been through. And what was the experience like for your family?
From what we also, like, the Mahons are made of tough stuff. We've been through quite a lot, you know. Like, my mum actually had cancer when she was 26. Yeah.
26?
26 years old. My brother was 6 weeks old. I was 5. My sister was 4.
Jesus.
And being around my mum, and like she's smashing it now. She's like in her 50s. She's going to hate that I've said that. But she's in her 50s.
Sorry, Mum.
But being fabulous in her 50s.
Yeah.
And she's smashing life. And like, whenever I was scared and saying, like, but what if it comes back? She's like, but I have the same thing. You can't live like that, babe. And it was that kind of attitude. I cannot imagine what it must have been like for my parents and my sister and my brother. But all I know is we all just were like, nah. The minute the doctor said, I burst out crying when they told me. I said, how can I have cancer? I don't have any bastard tits. And then I said, I don't want to die. And she said, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We really believe that we can get rid of this. The minute she said that to me, she went, it's going to be an inconvenience. And the minute she said that, it changed my perception. And I think for the whole of the family, we were just like, right, let's just get this done. What can we do? So I don't know how to speak for them, and I can't imagine, or I can imagine if it was one of them, what they went through. But we just went in. We just locked horns. We all had our jobs. My sister came to every single appointment with me and made notes, because she remembers everything. I was in another world. I couldn't remember stuff. My mum couldn't do the chemo thing. She's like, I can't see you like that. But at home, she'd be making like me food. She'd come in every night, rub cream into my feet to help me sleep, and like would sit and watch telly with me when I was too weak to sit on the sofa. Dad came to every chemo. My brother came to most things. And we just had a role to play. My brother was a social secretary as well. Wow. When you get ill, people ask you a lot of questions, but that can be quite draining. Yeah. Regurgitating the same stuff. When you're scared or stressed, it's not helpful. So I gave everyone my brother's number, and he would answer everything. So they did what we had to do. We knuckled down, got on with it, and now we're at the other side, and we're all a bit like, thank God for that.
I'm glad you had that support system there.
Yeah, we do. Really, and I'd like to hope that they had their support systems and their friends and family. And I do think there's something to be said about people who care for cancer patients and their wider group, because where's their support? I mean, I think they should be offered like counselling and things that we're offered, because you know that it's a massive thing for them to go through as well. They're on that journey. Deb said it about her husband once said to her, when you have a good scan, I have a good scan. When you have a bad one, I have a bad one. And it's true. Your friends and family feel it. It's probably harder for them because they're not in control. And I know you're not, but you can focus on getting through. Yeah. There for them, they're kind of just sitting and waiting and hoping for the best, I reckon. So, yeah.
So moving forward with the future, what do you think we can do as a society, as a world, to make these positive changes to help people with cancer? I
think, first of all, it's, you know, having a conversation and not being afraid to. I always find, especially on social media, you know, if you see something and it makes you feel uncomfortable, it makes you question stuff, that's good, it's healthy. Yeah. And I think it's time we start letting ourselves get uncomfortable around the topic of cancer. But also not being lazy. Like, if your friend is diagnosed with cancer or someone you love is diagnosed with cancer, if you go up to them and you're asking them questions constantly, it's draining. Go and educate yourself and come back to them with practical help and support. Yeah. I also think we just need to destigmatise the word cancer. Yeah. And we need to start talking about the positive stories. Yeah. Because I sometimes get really nervous if people say, oh, but you're the hope, because, you know, I've come out the other side of my treatment and I'm doing well so far, touch wood. But, you know, we only ever see the sad stories. Yeah. We only ever see the stuff when people die, or isn't this really sad? Look at this young child who's so ill. Yeah. We never show the positives because people go on with their lives and just get on with it. But most people will survive cancer rather than die from it. And I think it's time we kind of open those conversations up so that people can, you know, share their experiences, but also we can learn from them and stop it being so scary. It's becoming more and more treatable. And I think what we do by making it a fear factor, by being scared to have the conversations, by showing it, and the media have got a massive part to play, and the language they use around it and what they choose to show, because that's the image that people have in their heads of cancer. I think if we change that and actually show it for what it is, I am it, Deb is it. Do you know what I mean? This is what cancer actually looks like. It's not what you always think. Yeah. I think then it will stop people being scared to go and get checked and stuff. Yeah. People don't get checked because they're scared they're going to find cancer. Yeah. But then guess what? If it is cancer, it's not going anywhere and it will spread and kill you. So we need to change that to get people, and people in communities that don't really talk about it, talking about it too, because I don't feel like BAME communities are really represented in cancer world, and their voices really need to be heard, because as a Western, like 31-year-old white woman who bangs on about going into tits, I couldn't go into an most Islamic communities and say, hey, are you checking your breasts?
Yeah.
That's not the done thing. So we need to empower those Islamic women who do have those like potential to go in and have those conversations with the women in their communities. We need to be supporting them, and we need to be giving them a voice. So if a young Islamic girl is diagnosed with cancer, she knows where to find her. It's the same thing. So there's a lot of work to be done, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And one recent movement that we've noticed in society is that a well-known drugstore has actually offered free screenings now for women.
Yes.
That's absolutely amazing.
It is.
But what would you say to anyone that is scared of going to get checked out? Because, like you say, the way it's portrayed in the media, it can kind of be scaremongering sometimes.
It is, because I'm on a headline.
So people can feel too scared to actually go and look, get something checked out, when really, if they catch it earlier, it could help.
My whole thing is now, if you've got cancer, you've got cancer. You not going to the doctor's not going to get rid of that cancer.
Yeah.
All he's doing is putting you in denial and putting you in a very precarious situation where a cancer that could have been diagnosed and dealt with earlier with less severe treatments and a much better prognosis for your survival, that's when you get to the point where you're like spread to other organs. You're having to have much harsher treatments. I do understand it's scary, but scarier is dying, no?
Yeah.
So it's having that responsibility for your own health to go, right, I'm going to go. Like, don't, listen, I'm someone who's had cancer. I have symptoms now that terrify me. If I get dizzy spells or I forget words, which is all part of the lovely menopause, it's normal. But I go to my doctor, I'm having this, because as much as in my head I'm like, please don't be a brain tumour. That's what I think it is. But I'm like, if it is, it's not going anywhere. So I need to get it sorted ASAP. So it is hard when you're scared, but I just feel like you've got to be responsible for your own survival in your life. You just got to man up, woman up, go in, say, look, these are my symptoms. And if you really feel like something is wrong and you're not being heard, try and like push and push and push. I've got friends who haven't left GP surgeries and gone, I'm not going anywhere to get a referral letter. And thank God they did, because they were diagnosed.
God.
So, yeah.
We were having a conversation the other day about what more could be done, and we discussed being educated in school.
Yes.
So we're given sex education at whatever age it is. What about being taught about how to actually check yourself? Like, that's surely something we should learn.
Yeah, so I'm really, really proud. So Copperfield are one of my partner charities, and they actually, it's going to be part of the curriculum now to teach people about it. Yeah. So it's going to be in schools as part of sex ed and stuff. It's going to be like more health ed.
Yeah.
And they are going to teach it. Because I said this, I was like, I at school got taught how to put a condom on a banana.
Exactly.
But you did not tell me what signs and symptoms to look for in breast cancer. As a young woman whose breasts are developing, that is key to get them early so that this is part of their self-care routine their whole life. And maybe if that happens, people won't be getting diagnosed so late. Do you know what I mean? Because it's your health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous that happens, that they prioritise not getting pregnant over saving your life.
Yeah.
And empowering young women as well. And I think it's that whole thing of stop sexualising our bodies, because, you know, they're functional things. Like, I had a conversation with this mum and this little girl at Deb's book signing.
Right.
And she was talking about the same thing, like sex education is ridiculous. Like, we do sex ed, but we don't do health ed. And the little girl started laughing. I was like, "What are you laughing?" She said, "Sex." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I did. It's not a dirty word." And she started laughing. She went, and then her mum said, "Yeah." She came in and she couldn't even say the word vagina, and she started laughing again. And I went, "Vagina's not a dirty word, babe.
Yeah.
You've got one. Every single person on the planet's come out of one.
Yeah.
It's cool." I think it's, there's a lot happening. I'm quite excited about the world at the moment.
That is really exciting that's coming along.
Yeah, because a lot is changing, and I feel like our attitudes are changing, but we just need to stop destigmatising our bodies, having these conversations openly and in the right places.
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about PLT.
Oh, yeah!
We spoke about it before, and I'm excited to talk about it. You recently starred in our campaign for the Everybody in PLT. How was that experience for you?
It was so positive and so impactful. It's like changed a lot in me. I was asked to go, and I knew it would be with other women who were making, like, helping womankind around the world. I did not expect the force field that I walked into, because you do get a lot of tokenism in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're supporting everyone. And I feel like PLT actually do walk the talk. And being around girls, like there was lovely Maddie who has muscular dystrophy, and like her talking so openly about her experience, and I learned so much from her. And then Mari and I bonded instantly. She's like a supermodel, but she's a humanist activist. She's doing so much for womankind, and just being in the middle of this like picturesque setting, shooting for a fashion brand in a really cool way with these women who are changing the world with what they're doing. Oh, I could not have been prouder of that campaign. I could not. I really couldn't. And it was so great to see the amount of people that got behind it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm just really fed up of it being one version of a body that we see, one colour of a body that we see. And it's like, come on, like, let's get with the programme. So that was a really powerful, powerful moment. I'm so grateful. I'm so proud.
And how was the actual shoot for you?
It was amazing. It was so much fun. It really was. It was surreal. I was walking around like, where am I? What am I doing here?
It was in Los Angeles, wasn't it?
It was in LA. It was in Sun Valley. And it was a place called the Pink Motel, which I found out they shot Glow there.
Oh, really?
And also, there was a scene from Twister shot there, which I lost my mind because it's my favourite film.
Oh my God, I used to love Twister.
Love Twister. Yeah, it was just a really incredible experience. It was really surreal. And I felt, again, very privileged and fortunate to be there because, you know, I'm talking about cancer. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So for them to be asking me to go and do that, I was really, really, really honoured. And yeah, it's going to be something I'm forever proud of.
My favourite PLT campaign so far. As I'm sure everyone at PLT would agree, and hopefully other people.
It was just exciting to watch and listen to, right? Like, I kept re-listening to all the videos.
Yes.
Because I was like, this is, like, I loved the conversation, and I loved how it made me really, like, feel like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think every young girl would have felt like that. I hope so.
I actually got my friend's little sister sent me a picture of her and all her friends wearing the You Got This Girl top. They'd all got it, and they were all, like, wearing it.
That's amazing.
I was like, that is it.
I absolutely, that is it.
Yeah.
That is it. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about you.
Yes.
And love and life and first dates. You mentioned it before. I was dying to talk about it. So tell me about the first dates experience.
First dates was a really funny one. So I applied for first dates before I found out I had cancer.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I applied for it before I had cancer because I've been single for 8 years and I'm like, well, I can't really pick them very well, clearly. So I'm going to let them do it. And it was more like a fun thing and to go into the restaurant. And like, I didn't even care about being on camera.
And it was in Italy, wasn't it?
Yeah, this one was in
Italy.
But I just applied for the baseline thing. So I just wanted to see what they'd match me with, who they'd match with. And then they called me back in the January when I was mid-chemo and they were like, we found you a match. And I was like, I've got cancer. And they were like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I will be, but I'm not going to go on TV looking like an egg, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I just don't need to be doing that. But they said, right, listen, you get yourself well. When you're feeling like it, we'd love you to reapply, but no pressure. So I was like, fine. Mm-hmm. So then when so I finished the chemo in the March, August rolled round, I'd had all my surgery, I'd had radiotherapy, and my hair was growing back and I felt more like myself. And I think I was just in a place where I felt like I was getting back to me, and a part of that I wanted, having been through everything I've been through, I realised how much having a family and like having someone to share my life with is important to me. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to give it another go. And I sent my application, they called me the next day. And they were like, wow, what the hell has been going on? So we talked through it, went through the whole process. It was really exciting and weird. But I was really excited because I genuinely wanted to meet someone. Like I thought, if anyone's going to find me a match, it's going to be these guys because they do such a good job, don't they? Mm-hmm. I think they're quite good a lot of the time.
Yeah, I do.
So yeah, then off I went to Italy to meet the man of my dreams, who turned out to be my friend.
Your mate from London?
My mate from London. So yeah, it's really funny. Pat and I met like 6-7 years ago at Glastonbury, and well, he's been party Pat. He's friends. We've got loads of mutual mates. He's really good fun, really like proper blokey. Total what I go for most of the time. Yeah. Love really big tall boys. I like to abseil down my
So you can hide behind them.
Okay. Well, someone actually
remember you saying that.
Someone said something really lovely to me after that.
Really?
She put when I said I want someone I can hide behind, someone messaged me on Instagram and said, you don't need someone you can hide behind, you need someone who's going to put you on their shoulders and run down the street.
That's so bloody true.
And I was like,
that's a lovely message.
Yeah, that's what I do.
It's so true.
It's true. But yeah, I was so shocked when he walked in. I was like, but then also the romantic part of my head was like, from the minute I met Pat, I was a bit attracted to him. He's my vibe, but I didn't know him well enough. And unless I know a person, I don't fancy them that deep. So I was like, I know I find him physically attractive and he's what I'd normally go for. And then I'd seen him 3 weeks beforehand, and I said it on the First Dates episode. I was with my mates, Millie and Callum, and they're like really good mates with him as well. And they said, what have you asked for on first dates? And I told them. And they went, you've just described Pat, go on a date with Pat. And I went, no, I'm not party Pat. And then I bumped into him the same night. So I've been talking about you. Didn't mention first dates. And then in he walked. So I was a little bit like, the stars have aligned here. And I was so bought into meeting someone. Do you know what I mean? I just felt really good. And I got on so well with him. I only said that was one of the best first dates I've had in years.
It looked perfect.
It was so much fun. I had such a nice time. And I was really hurt when I got the no. It was a big thing to say yes on national television, and I definitely, if I thought it was a definite no, I wouldn't have said yes. But I did, and it was no, and I cried, which I still am like, oh my god, I cried over a boy on TV. But I think most girls can relate. You've all been there, right?
Yeah, and the date went so well that like I was watching it and I was shocked.
I had to go at him after.
Actually, no offense, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, that date went so perfectly well.
Yeah. That's how I thought it was. But I wouldn't have said
so
yes.
I can see why you would be upset.
Yeah, I was upset. And we've spoken about it, Pat and I. Like, I did give him grief for a bit. And I was like, you know, because they filmed it a year before it aired.
Is that how advanced it is?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a year.
My God.
The first half of the ones they showed at the start of the year, they'd filmed at the same time, but they kind of split it up into two little mini-series. Yeah, I did give him a lot of grief for a while. Well, not a lot of grief. I just give him like a few little digs, like
what he deserved.
Yeah. But we're fine. We're really civil, and to be honest, I'm really grateful for the experience. And again, it's something cancer made me do. Like it ripped the fear away. And it didn't work out the way it planned, or not planned. I had hoped, and I did cry on national television, and it was a massive custard pie on national television. But it's something very brave, and it's like, again, it's the resilience. So I'm like, I've had cancer, I've been pied on national television. What else? Like I'm all right. I can handle it. Yeah, I'm really glad I did it. I had a really good time, and because of it, I've had such lovely feedback. I've had people come and talk to me, and it's been a positive experience, definitely. Yeah.
Good. And what is next for you? I asked this question with a big smile on my face because I'm like, what isn't next? What is coming this year?
It's happening thick and fast. Like, it's a snowball. I got a manager in December, and it's just been full on since then. Wow. It's been amazing. And the fact that I even got approached from, like, someone said, do you want representation? I'm like, to represent what? I don't really understand. But it's been really great and really organic. But I think in terms of Girl vs Cancer World, I'm working really hard at the moment to get funding and to get investment so that I can build a team, because I feel like me as a woman, I think I've done a lot. Yeah. And I'm actually at that point now where I'm like, I can't do any more. But if I had a team, oh my God, what could Girl vs Cancer do for people? So I'm at that point now where I want to grow the team. Yeah. So I'm working really hard behind the scenes to make that happen. And then in terms of presenting, broadcasting stuff, there's loads of opportunity happening. There's going to be some radio pilots happening, so I'm really excited about that. To try, because I just want to try things. You don't know.
And you're great at presenting and hosting. You're incredible.
You.
So
I just love chatting to people, and maybe a bit of travel as well. Because I realised that for me to actually switch off and get back in tune with myself and just have a minute, I physically need to remove myself. Yeah. So travel's really helping me to do that and come back to myself. So I definitely want to do like a few more mini breaks, or maybe a couple of bigger ones this year, and maybe some more awards.
Oh, juicy.
So not that I need any more awards or a bigger head, but I've really excitingly, so yesterday I was announced as, I've been nominated to win a Webby Award. And a Webby Award is like internet Oscars. It's massive.
Oh my God.
It's massive. And I still can't believe it. And when they first sent me the email, I was like, oh, cool. And then I actually was like, hang on a minute, this is a Webby. Think about it. And it's a public vote thing. So hopefully you guys can share some love and tell people where to vote.
Where can people vote?
I want to vote. It's on the Webby website, so it's the Webby Awards. But I've got like a link in my bio and Instagram and stuff, so you'll be able to vote through there. But it's for the Girl vs Cancer campaign, and if I win, it's in New York, the award ceremony. I'm going to make sure I go. But I'm up against like massive advertising agencies, dating apps.
No.
Yeah, massive. But it's for like social community building and stuff like that, which is what I do.
Which is what you've done.
But But I'm really like that for me. I'm a bit like, oh my God, that is massive.
That is amazing. It's a big deal, well, you've got the love and support from PLT. I will make sure in the office we are sending that round to everybody. I will be voting. Everyone in this room will vote. Yay! And guys listening, make sure you go and vote on the Webby website. We will put a link on our social later on that you can go and vote, because you definitely deserve it.
Oh, thank you.
You deserve it so
much. I always feel like if I win, that's not just for me, that's the Cancer Community's award. It's like we are breaking through. We are making this a conversation in the mainstream. It's a big deal.
I've got shivers from that.
Yeah. Oh, please, let's make that happen.
Lauren, it's been absolutely amazing speaking to you today. I feel like you've taken me through every single emotion. Thank you for sharing everything with us so honestly. This is the favourite podcast yet for me. I've absolutely loved getting to know you. I've been dying to meet you. So thank you so much for joining us on PLT Behind Closed Doors.
Thank you.
And I've got one last request before you go.
Oh, what is it?
It's a big one.
Oh,
you ready?
Go on.
Do you think, I'm excited to ask you, I've been dying. Do you think you could teach me some Cockney slang?
Oh, yes, mate.
Yes, girl, let's go.
What am I going to teach you?
I'm so excited.
All right, you can say, are you having a bubble?
Are you having a bubble?
Are you having a bubble? That was good.
Bubble.
Are you having a bubble? But it's things like, people say dog and bone is phone. No, answer dog and bone, but I say answer the blower.
Answer the blower?
Yeah.
Sounds so cool when you say it.
And then like a sherbet dab is a cab. So like
shut up.
Irish, someone gets a sherbet.
Do you say that?
Yeah.
Someone gets a sherbet. Sherbet. I'm going to start saying that, guys in the room. Someone brought me a sherbet.
What else there? Like look at his boat. I like
What's that?
Boat races your face.
It sounds a bit
so
rude
about
boat.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something else. I didn't think it was going to be face.
Yeah.
So it's a boat race is a face.
Yeah.
Boat race.
Your boat race.
Look at his boat. I'm going to start saying that.
Boat on him.
Boat on him. Yeah, it does sound rude though, doesn't it? But
it's
not.
I know lots of rude ones as well, but we won't go into those.
Do you think I could be a Cockney if I tried?
You are an honorary Cockney.
That's it. I've been told, guys. That's the best news I've had all week. Thank you very much for joining us, Lauren. You've taken me through every single emotion, and I've absolutely loved getting to know you.
Thank you. I've loved getting to know you as well. It's been great. Thank you for having me on.
I feel like I've got a new friend.
You have.
I'm so happy.
Sorry, you're stuck with me now, mate.
No, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me. Thank you to everybody for watching at home. This has been PLT Behind Closed Doors. If you are enjoying our podcast, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep watching the episodes, and we'll see you next week.